Fellow workers, thank you everyone for coming out today. Here to lead off our rally is Emery from City Feed Unite, worker organizer. Thank you so much for being here. There are so many of you. That's crazy. How are we feeling? My name's Em. I'm a coffee and kitchen worker at City Feed, and I'm an organizer with City Feed Unite. I just want to start off by saying that my coworkers, a lot of them are here, a lot of them are also still at work right now. They're literally my heroes. Like most food service workers, we are overworked and underpaid, and yet we still find the time and energy together to show up for each other in the smallest of ways to the biggest of ways. And the last year since we began organizing together, we have raised emergency funding for housing and medical costs, given each other rides home, trained one another in how to use Narcan and prevent overdoses. I lost my whole speech.
Take your time.
What else have we done? Offered couches to sleep on and meals delivered. We've advocated together via direct actions at work for COVID safety and safety training. And with that solidarity and that community of care that we have built throughout the pandemic and other bullshit that our life has thrown our ways, we have taken a very big step together and publicly serviced as a workers' union. Because for all of the solidarity that we have built, passing around the same $20 is not going to get us anywhere in the long term. So we have stood up. We've told the owners of City Feed and Supply, David Warner and Christine Cortesi, that we not only need a union, but we deserve a union, and all of the benefits that collective bargaining can give us, from wages sufficient enough to pay rent in Jamaica Plain so we can live in the neighborhood in which we work, to free healthcare for each and every worker, so we can afford to go to the doctor, to guaranteed paid sick time if we are infected with COVID-19, to a workplace that is consistent and transparent and pays the same wage for the same damn work. My coworkers deserve all of these things, and every worker deserves all of these things. We are not alone. It's pretty clear by this rally that we are not alone. This rally proves that, but so does the thousands of Amazon workers standing up to form unions, and the thousands of Starbucks workers standing up to form unions, and all the local cafes in Boston as well, such as Pavement, Darwin's, Diesel, Block, Forge, and now Finista and Fenway. Across the board, we are fighting for the same things. We're fighting for basic dignity and respect on the job, basic safety and protection from harassment from customers, agency and self-determination over our working conditions and our own well-being. And it is long past time that City Feed and all of these businesses that preach progressive values to have practices internally that match the practices externally. I have some questions for my bosses, Mr. Warner and Ms. Cortesi. I don't think they're here though. What does fair trade coffee mean when the person pulling the espresso shot is getting paid $2 to $3 less an hour than another person for the same work? When there is often a significant pay gap between cisgender men and trans non-binary and women workers? When my coworkers who work over 40-hour weeks cannot afford to live in Jamaica Plain, cannot afford to go to the doctor? And what does it mean to be a progressive business when workers are constantly being pulled into one-on-one intimidation meetings with the owner, David Warner, for simply being vocal about workplace questions and concerns that affect them, for asking simple questions about the opaque pay structure that makes no sense, complaining about customer harassment, and for intervening when a customer is hostile to another worker. How are you going to run a business based on community service and engagement when our every concern and even the existence of our union, which contains the vast majority of our staff, is ignored? When an aggravated, aggressive physical assault on a customer and community member occurred within the store in February 2022, and there was no attempt to support or train the workers present who had experienced a traumatizing event. When homeless community members and people in crisis are banned and kicked out of the store. You know, every single day I feel lucky to go to work with my coworkers. Again, they're literally my heroes these days. And Amazon, Starbucks workers, and all these local cafe workers are also heroes. Standing up to some of the richest companies in the world, and I'm stunned by their bravery. But workers at small businesses, we know our bosses, we know David, we know Christine, and we know that they're loved by the community. We know that their stores are popular in JP. And I love working at a small business where I know the customers and I get to make lunch for my next door neighbors. It's great. But it takes a lot of bravery to stand up to people that you know and tell them enough is enough. Our community in Jamaica Plain will be better for it when workers have a say and are empowered to advocate for themselves and their needs. So now we have built from the ground up, and with the help of the IWW in Boston, a worker-led and worker-organized union. Rank and file organizers, we are organized and we are united. We are awaiting the scheduling of our NLRB election. We filed on April 18th. Bureaucracy, time doesn't exist. In the meantime, we're showing up for each other, and we want to ask you to show up with us. You can grab an info sheet. There's a table by the gate over there that has ways to sign up for our mailing list and to donate. We're raising money for our coworker who's in need of emergency housing funds. Please donate. We are your neighbors, and we make your coffee. And every single worker deserves a union. Thank you. My coworker Luke is gonna say some words.
Hi folks, my name is Luke and I'm a cashier at City Feed. Thank you for coming out. David's been running his business his way for 22 years, and it pains me to think of the hundreds of employees who have faced exploitation, intimidation, and abuse under his leadership. We're forming a union because we have empathy for everyone who's ever worked at City Feed. We have empathy for our current coworkers who are wonderful. We have empathy for all the workers who have yet to apply to City Feed, and we have empathy for ourselves. David has been talking a lot about how a union will cost everyone money, but seemingly has no problem paying for legal advice from union-busting lawyers. David doesn't recognize the power and potential of his employees, which is also why he thinks he has a chance of winning this election. He doesn't. The window for him to union bust his way to a victory has long been closed. We are not parts in a machine that can be replaced when convenient. This business model of churning out workers to exploit their labor for cheap is unethical and unsustainable. Lastly, I'd just like to recognize that organizing our labor at City Feed is powerful, but we can go even larger. If one coffee shop goes on strike, that's an effective way to send a message to the owners of that shop. But people who are looking for coffee can find plenty of other coffee shops to go to in the meantime. People will lose their shit if they can't get their treats. So I just think we should recognize and be conscious of the power of industry-wide organization. So again, I'd like to thank the other coffee shop unions that have come out to support us. We will also be there for you. We recognize and believe in the dignity of all workers in this and every industry, and will continue to work toward their fair and just treatment. Thank you.
Hello. I don't have anything prepared, so I'm just gonna wing it a little bit. But primarily wanted to thank Emery and everybody else. Especially Emery has done a lot of work for like a year now, and we're very close. And thank you to Jonathan from the IWW. You've helped a lot as well with general organizing. So we appreciate all that you and your fellows have done there. And yeah, just in general, I haven't been at City Feed too long, but I think my very first day, somebody casually mentioned like, "Yeah, we're unionizing. You want to join?" I was like, "Yeah, okay." Sure. Since then, yeah, it's really taken off, and I'm proud of the work that everybody has done, and it's been a good time. But generally, everybody deserves a union, and even if you like going to work, you can still have a union. I like going to City Feed because I get to work with all of these people, but even if you don't think you need one, you can just do it. I think across Boston, a lot of coffee shops are unionizing. I work at a different one that the owner pulled me aside and was like, "Hey, I saw you at City Feed organizing. I know you work there. Are you going to unionize my shop?" And it's like, I don't know, maybe. Like, as far as owners go, I guess he's fine. But I could say like, yeah, I'm probably fine with that. Go for it. But, yeah. Something else. I don't remember now. Yeah, and thank you to Louder.
Yeah, now we can.
Okay, cool. Also, Darwin, Starbucks, everybody else that I'm forgetting, Pavement, your work and what you've done helped us a lot along the way. And if we, can all work together and inspire other people to do it, I'll be happy for that. So, anyway, that's all. I don't have anything prepared, so that's all I have.
Tyler from Starbucks, you. Legendary person, an organizer. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Em. It's hard to be legendary when you've been doing this for 4 months, so I don't know if I live up to that. But thank you very much. Just here on behalf of the Massachusetts region of Starbucks Workers United, I want to say I'm super happy and proud of all of you here. This is incredible, and it just grows and adds to our massive labor solidarity movement here. I'm so excited to have another cafe on board. There's another one in Fenway, right, that just went on board this morning as well. This is, I was saying to Steve just now, like this movement is just continuing to grow in size and in power, and I'm so incredibly thrilled and honored to be a part of this. And I hope that we all get to stand together on May Day. And anybody else who hasn't organized their shop, if you work in a place and that place doesn't have a union, I guess unless you're a boss, but if you work at a place and that place doesn't have a union, you can unionize it. Anybody can unionize anything ever. You know, you can unionize a hangout with you and your friend, so long as at least one of you wants it. But I encourage everybody to get involved. If anybody's a Starbucks worker that hasn't organized, please reach out to me or email me at greaterbostonSBW@gmail.com. Find me on Instagram. But this is all about City Feed and what this represents for labor, both here, around the country, and around the world. And I'm so incredibly happy and proud of all of you, and I can't wait to march alongside you in future events and cheer with you when you win your union. So congratulations, solidarity.
Up next, I have Jimmy Wallace, Black Trade Unionist President. Please give a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I didn't expect to be speaking right now, but I do have a few words to say. I'd like to start off with my signature introduction. I'm going to reiterate one question 3 times. I'd like for you all to say loud and proud, fired up. How do you all feel?
Fired up!
How do you all feel?
Fired up!
How do you all feel?
Fired up!
Thank you. As M said, my name is Jamie Wallace. I'm a member of the International Union of Painters Allied Trades, District Council 35. So I'm here to stand in solidarity with all you all City Feeds and Starbucks workers, Darwin, who are looking to turn your shops and cafes into unions. It's a very humble experience to be part of a union. It's a rewarding experience, and it's a wonderful career to have. You have healthcare benefits, you have pensions and annuities, and you have hourly salary wages that you ought to receive. And as you all know, the cost of living in Massachusetts is astronomical. So we need our local unions to help us sustain our ways of life. And so, I'm here in support of you all with that. And any day moving forward, I continue to be in support. I'm the president of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists. It's an it's a constituency group of the AFL-CIO, and we are currently submitting our charter to have our chapter established here in Boston, Massachusetts. If anyone would like to receive more information, if you just go to cbtu.org, you get all the general information of the organizations that you would like to read. And also, we have a Facebook page, all caps, CBTU, capital Boston. And go to the page, view the page. You can see some of the actions that we've done over the year. Just last month, February 26th, we stood in solidarity with the Starbucks workers at Government Center. And what we're also advocating for, our local unions, unfortunately, does not honor MLK Day as a holiday. Yeah, big boo. So we're advocating to get that paradigm changed within our local unions. So that's one of the battles that we are currently up against right now, and we're also fighting against the systemic oppressions that we face here in this country. So CBTU is not a separatist organization. It is not a civil rights organization. It is the fiercely independent voice of the black worker within the trade union movement, standing in solidarity with organized labor to be more relevant towards the aspiration needs and benefits of the black, poor, and underrepresented worker. So I want to thank you all for coming out today. I greatly appreciate everyone's in attendance. There's power in numbers, and my other signature saying, the power of the people is greater than the people in power. Repeat that. The power of the people is
Greater than people in power.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Robin from Socialist Alternative. What's up next? Where are you? Oh, you're right there. Sorry, I didn't see you. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming out. My name is Robin Amara. I'm a member of Socialist Alternative, which is a local and national and also international organizing group. But I'm also here because I am a JP resident. I've lived in JP for 10 years. I love JP. It's a beautiful place with diverse individuals, and most of us are community oriented, and also so many cute doggos. So I've lived here, like I said, for over a decade, and in that time, I've seen many changes in our community in real time. Businesses closing down, rents skyrocketing, and senior citizens even being forced out of the Forbes building on Center Street, one of our last affordable buildings in this town. But we also see workers here at City Feed and at local coffee shops, Darwin and Pavement, and even Starbucks across the nation rise up. In 2020, during the beginning of the pandemic, I worked alongside renters like myself to form a tenants union, a union that was trying to protect us from eviction and holding our landlord accountable for healthy and safe living conditions. So we stood up against Leonard Samia, who owns the large brick buildings down on South Street, and many, many other properties. Do we have any current or ex-Samia tenants in the here?
We organized the tenants union in like 2001 on the way over.
In 2001, we got to speak because
yeah.
I don't think we've talked. Do we have any other renters here as well? Anyone a renter in the crowd? Okay, so the basic structure of renter-landlord relationships is unbalanced and skewed against those renters. Our forms of recourse against abusive landlords and oppressive living conditions are costly and time-consuming, which often puts accountability totally out of reach of your average working person. What other relationship is similar to this? The bosses and the workers, right? The bosses and the workers. The mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic has pushed us working people even further down as we suffer from the loss of wages and a social safety net that has been systematically dismantled for decades. Debt and financial precariousness has become a way of life. We are living in unprecedented times. The climate crisis, inflation, and the continual loss and stagnation of wages. Just as we saw during the Great Recession of the last decade, sweeping legislation has been passed to bail out mega corporations and ruling class interests, while the rest of us, especially our most vulnerable, especially our coffee shop workers, especially our nurses, especially our teachers, right? Who are left to austerity and so-called rugged individualism. We're left that way to deal with the disasters that are left in the wake of a global pandemic. So City Feed isn't a mega corporation. That's true. But it is an employer of workers who live in our community, who are demanding a seat at the table. What is unreasonable about the rights of workers to bargain as a unit? Nothing, right? We support our small business owners and our small businesses, but small businesses must support us workers. This means recognizing the right to unionize. City Feed has been a staple and a positive addition to the JP community, but there is no City Feed and there is no Jamaica Plain without its workers. City Feed workers, hats are union made, the coffee is union made. City Feed, your workers deserve a union too. City Feed claims to have values and to support its workers. Prove it by recognizing your workers' right to organize. The strength of working people is in our numbers. It's been mentioned earlier. When we stand together, as we are doing today, we send a message. Workers will not stand idly by when our conditions, our pay, and our safety are not being met. A union allows democratic structures to exist permanently, not just a one-time pay adjustment, not just a one-time meeting. What's happening here in Jamaica Plain is a part of a growing movement of collective organizing and labor, housing, and the rights of working people. So I want to plug to non-coffee shop workers and city food workers and folks in the community who are looking for something to do. It's great to gather here and to meet up and to talk about what we need to do and how we need to support people, but we have to do that with action. So as I mentioned before, I'm a part of Socialist Alternative, who has played a huge role in helping me learn how to organize and to better understand the things at play and to fight back against the corrupt system. Like Emery stated earlier, mutual aid and passing around the same damn $20 is not a long-term sustainable option. It's just not. So the exploitation that we are faced won't end until capitalism ends. And that is why we need a socialist alternative. I want to plug the May Day rally that there are flyers going around for. It's in support of not only city feed workers, Darwin workers, pavement workers, some of whom are here today, and of course the Amazon Victorious Union victory that happened in Staten Island.
Yeah.
So that's what this is about. We hope to see you there. We hope to get you involved and invigorated to not only talk about what the issues are, but to fight back by community organizing and supporting our workers. Thank you. All right, I think we got Steve Gillis up next.
Steve!
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
My name is Steve Gillis. I've been a school bus driver in Boston for 37 years. I'm an elected member of the executive board of the United Steelworkers Local 8751, which represents 1,000 school bus drivers in the city of Boston. We are so happy and proud to be here with the city feed workers today. I've lived in Jamaica Plain and Rosendale since 1983. You know, I've had my share of breakfast bagels over the city feed. I've had wonderful workers there over the decades. My daughter, Marie, worked there for 4 years, up until very recently. You know, it was, I'd say from a family point of view, I will be telling any tales out of school. It was an okay job, but it wasn't a great job. And she left for a better job. And, it's not right. These city feed workers, like the Starbucks workers, like the Amazon workers, like the workers at REI, like the workers at Verizon, like the workers everywhere that are organized, all of a sudden, from the point of view of somebody my age, I may look young, but I've been around for a little while. I just told you that. And, my entire life in the labor movement, I started driving a school bus in 1985. We have been fighting defensive battles. We have been, the receivers of union busting, awful firings. People have died. Whole unions like the PATCO, air traffic controllers were fired. And then Eastern Airlines, Greyhound, Phelps Dodge. We've been living for decades fighting defensive battles. And it's so good to be alive. When the young people these days, we call them Generation U, all right? Generation Union. They're taking it. They're living our dreams. They're living what we thought, can be accomplished. And they're lighting up the world for everybody to see. And we really appreciate the energy for all of us because, from the top down, from the government, from all of the big employers, from my employer at the city of Boston, and one of the largest transportation companies, they want cutbacks. They want us to live on less. And we've been struggling through the pandemic to keep this system running. And we want the city feed workers to know we're going to be here with you, even though it's kind of controversial in Jamaica Plain. Probably most of you around here, right? David, he's a nice guy too. He gives money to good causes and this and that. He needs to give money, more money, and benefits and respect to the workers right on.
Do any other current or former city feed workers want to talk? Callie! Hi everybody. I also did there for about 6 months now. I've been supervisor for about 3 months, 3-4 months at this point. And it's been a pretty up and down experience. The coworkers, amazing. Immediately got me on board with the union. Treat me like family, gave me rides home, really helped me out when I got COVID. So they've really been there for me. I'm not from here. I'm from Virginia. I just moved here about 8 months ago. So getting acclimated has been a process, but it wouldn't be the same without them. So I'm really, really happy to be a part of that crew in general. But when I got promoted to supervisor, I was the lowest paid supervisor for a while at $15.50, and I was okay with that until I learned that my counterpart was making $16.50, and I wasn't told why. And there's another supervisor making probably more than that, and I am not being told why. So that's been a disappointment for me, for other people who, like Emery mentioned, aren't getting paid what they deserve. The past couple of weeks, I've been working 60 plus hours at City Feed due to a but a definite medical leave in a couple weeks. And it's disappointing that workers on average can't afford to take medical leave for whatever reason. So we are workers who are good at working. We work really hard. We care about these things. And I've been saying this for a while, but I'm an artist. I'm a vocalist, which means that I'm going to be in the service industry for a hot damn second. So I want to unionize to make sure that I have benefits for long term. So thank you so much for showing up, and I really appreciate it. Unless there's anyone else who wants to come up, it's a bit of an open mic situation. I think we have Evan Greer who's going to speak and then play us some songs, which I'm really excited for. Thank you.
Hey, everybody!
Yeah!
Getting set up, but my name is Evan Greer. I live just down the street. I've lived in Jamaica Plain for more than a decade. My kid grew up going to City Feed. And I know that many folks in Jamaica Plain are out there posting saying, well, but I love City Feed. And yeah, I love City Feed too. That's the point. We love the workers of City Feed. We're the folks that make City Feed what it is. The folks that make every business what it is. No business is anything without the people who do the work. So if you love City Feed, support the union so that the people who make City Feed happen have the dignity and respect and pay that they deserve and that they need. I want you to think back to the very beginning of the pandemic when we were terrified and had no idea what was going on, didn't know what would be open, where we would get food, and the workers at places like City Feed showed up every day, not knowing whether it was safe for them, for their co-workers, for their families at home. They showed up to make sure that we could eat, to get a cup of coffee. And that limited contact that we had with those workers at that time was everything. That's why these folks deserve respect. They are out there working every single day. And, I hear folks say that it's a small local business, right? No business should be afraid of a union unless they're exploiting their workers. Yeah. Right? If you're running an ethical business, you should be happy to have your workers in a union. And so my question for Jamaica Plain is pretty simple. Which side are you on? 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 At Amazon and Starbucks, Caveman and City Feed, every worker needs a union to fight the boss's greed. Everybody, come on! Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? workers, can you stand it? Oh, tell me how you can. Now will you be a lousy scab or take a union stand? Here we go! Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Don't scab for the bosses, don't listen to their lies. Us workers haven't got a chance unless we organize. Everybody! Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? That's it! Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Oh, which side are you on? Oh, I would never walk across a picket line. Solidarity forever don't mean just sometimes. Long live the union, cross my heart and hope to die. If I should ever walk across a picket line. We haven't seen a picket line yet. Hopefully we won't have to, right? My mother never told me what was right or what was wrong. Never taught me to play banjo, never taught me to write songs. One thing that she taught me I'll remember for all time, and that's that you should never walk across a picket line. Here we go! I will never walk across a picket line. Solidarity forever don't mean just sometimes. Long live that union, cross my heart and hope to die. If I should ever walk across a picket line. Mom called them all dirty scabs and gave them 2 pieces of her mind. Ripped up and she threw every rock that she could find. And when they called the cops on her, she kicked their behinds and said, that's what you get when you walk across a union picket line. Oh, I would never walk across a picket line. Solidarity forever don't mean just sometimes. Long live that union, cross my heart and hope to die. If I should ever walk across a picket line. I can still remember what my mother used to say. We're fighting for a better world, not just for better pay. And if we stick together, then we'll win this fight in time. As long as we don't walk across each other's picket line. Oh, I never walk across a picket line. Solidarity forever don't mean just sometimes. Long live that union, cross my heart and hope to die. If I should ever walk across a picket line. All right, I'm gonna do something that singers don't usually do. I'm gonna tell you all to turn your back on me. Because you know what happens when the press covers events like this? It's like they'll take a little photo that's cropped and it's like just the person on the stage and like 2 people next to them and it looks like there was no one here. So what I want you all to do is come up toward the stage and turn that way. And all the people that have signs and flags and stuff like that go to the front and point them that way. And maybe these folks with the big banner behind me can lift it up real high. And then a couple people with cameras and phones go over there. And I don't know, put your fists in the air or do something that makes it look like you really fucking care. And then we'll all sing together. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. our hands is placed a power greater than their hoarded gold, greater than the might of our youth, magnified 1,000-fold. We can bring to birth a new world from the ashes of the old, for the union makes us strong. Solidarity forever, solidarity forever, solidarity forever, for the union makes us strong. Thanks so much. Thanks to all these workers who are out there fighting and organizing at City Feed across the country and the world. We will win.
Hi, Mo. I just want to say hi.